Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the session on the 10th lecture of CIIPS course. So before we start much, uh, who will share what we were doing yesterday? What were we doing yesterday? Okay, is this a silence competition?
MPVs and benchmarking.
Okay, so we yesterday started with MPV based benchmarking. Okay, what did we do in that? What did we do in MPV based benchmarking? How is this benchmarking done and why is it important?
We jot down all the MPVs and list all of the other competitors who are having similar MPVs, or I mean good or bad, and then we give them rating that they are good doing it. How good are they doing that particular MPV? And based on that, we'll make our proposal, and then we'll select minimum viable product.
Okay. Thank you, Manav. So, as Manav rightly pointed out, we will list down all the key MPVs that we think the product that we are working on has to take care of. And once we've done that, we benchmark the competing systems. So, competing systems could be alternate solutions to the same problem, and they could be competitors who are already in the same market doing similar work. And we rate them on these MPVs. We build our proposal based on how the competition is. We also saw that it may be required that we add another MPV and then pivot around that and get a better standing or get a unique selling position because of that additional MPV that we added. And subsequently, we also looked at what is a minimum viable product. Okay, what did we do after that? So what did you do after that? You also did, we went to breakout rooms and you also started to do some benchmarking for your product, for your project idea. So how was the experience? Do you have any questions? Did you meet after the class yesterday and continued with that exercise? Are there any questions that you would want to clarify, ask? How many of you were able to do some exercise, some of that, TRIZ benchmarking in the breakout room yesterday? You can put a +1 in the chat window. Okay, so quite a few teams were able to do it. Any so you have no questions, so I assume that it was all clear and you were able to go ahead. You have a much clearer view of what your product has to offer to be competitive. Okay. Then after that, what did we do? After that, what did we do yesterday? Quiet time. All of us are quiet. I will also go quiet. We'll sit here, look at each other. In fact, I'm not looking at you, you are not looking at me.
Sir, there was in last day's breakout room, there were some difficulties in understanding the heuristic ideation technique. We were only able to list the MPVs and components and characteristics were given. We are unable to fill that table. Means, can you just reiterate that?
Hmm. So, what was the challenge that you faced? Why were you not able to fill the table there?
No, sir. First, before that, we were able to fill that MPV table one about cost, weight.
Benchmarking table you were
Yes,
able
sir.
to fill. Okay.
Yes, sir. But from that, how we should fill that heuristics ideation technique wala table?
Oh, from that, how to do that? Okay, give me a second. Are you able to see my whiteboard?
Yes,
Yes,
software.
Hmm. So, in the HIT technique, what did we say? We would make a table, and on one axis we would write components, and the other axis we will write attributes. Hmm? That was the case. Hmm?
so and characteristic.
Yeah. So characteristic. Okay. So let us say the component one was the system. Let us take an example. Let us say your example was of providing food for these hostlers. Hmm. So one component of your system is how to get how to form cohorts, how to place an order or something like that, how to form groups for which you will get food. Hmm. Now, what is the first competitor you have? Let us say Zomato. How does that do it? Okay, it does not do it, or it says that or Swiggy, something like that. So for this particular thing, forming groups and doing something, is there any other competing system or a place where this kind of groups are formed and then further action is taken? Let us say some gaming platform. Is there a place where you can form groups, and how do you form those groups? So Zomato, you say there is nothing that is happening. This, you say there is nothing that is happening, but there is a gaming platform where we form groups of people who will play together. Okay. Then you look at another component. What is another component of your app over there? Another component of your app is, say, kitchens. So how does Zomato interact with those kitchens? It just enrolls them and then does something about them. It just sends its on, it just relays the order to those kitchens. So there is one way in which it interacts with the kitchens. How does Swiggy do it? Then uh, could there be an alternative way? Do you think there is another competing system where interaction with customers is different? So you could add that competing system over here, and you could add the details of that here. Third component of your system could be feedback. So how does Zomato take feedback? How does Swiggy take feedback? Or do you like another feedback mechanism in another competing system? So you add that over here. Okay. So what happens then is you say that, okay, I want a system jahan pe where cohorts are formed like this, kitchens are treated like this, and feedback is taken in this manner. Or you could say there is an alternative that the feedback is taken in this manner. Or the three of the four competing systems have feedback taken in a particular way. So we will do it like that only. We will not do it in this manner. So आपके system की एक definition firm up होनी शुरू हो जाती है. Are you able to see this? Is this clearer now, Devjit?
Yes, sir. But let's say, means what I was thinking is in the that MPV table, what we basically did was, means we just compared on the basis of the quality of service, and
Yes.
now not how they are implemented. Here we need to write how they are implemented and take the best out of
So
all.
this is the next step. Yes. So this is the next step where we are actually looking at the components of our engineering system and we want to improvise on them.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And in fact, today that what we will look at is also about, okay, there are 3 or 4 different competing ideas, how to select the best one according to our needs. It is just an alternate view of HIT, you may say, or it is an alternate view of TRIZ benchmarking, but it is also one way to look at it. So what we are essentially saying is that whenever you are faced with a problem, if the problem is very complex, then because the problem is complex, any one tool may not be sufficient to clarify and to arrive at a problem statement that should really be solved. So we use a mix of tools and we have to use them based on need. If you are already convinced that what you have arrived at over here in this, what you have arrived at through this method is really the best, then you need not go to the next tool. But if you're not, if there in your team itself there is someone who says, yeah, I'm not convinced, is this really the best? Then we can look at another method of evaluating ideas, of evaluating alternatives, which we'll look at today. Okay. Any other questions about HIT or MFC from yesterday? So what we are essentially talking about here is we are saying that transfer that feature of forming groups from that gaming app, transfer the feature of accessing kitchens or reaching out to kitchens from the model that Swiggy used, and transfer the feedback mechanism from what the Zomato does or what someone else does. So we are transferring features from somewhere else. These are already technologies which are well proven. These are methods which are well accepted by the customer. So आपके customer groups में इस तरह की चीजें होती रही हैं और उनको acceptable है ये चीज. So you're not taking a very big risk. Do you realize? You're minimizing the risk, but still arriving at a new answer, a new product, a new solution to the problem.
Sir, but if we're just taking the best of these features from each of these companies, right?
Mhm.
But I think we'll still need to improvise a bit on them, right? Because
Yes,
then technically, if
yes.
we, for
We're talking
example,
about
take
what the starting
Zomato's,
point is. Yeah, we're
right?
only talking about what the starting point is. As we discussed, if you want to make an electric car, you cannot start with saying that I want to get the wheels there. I would now research on rubber and what kind of wheels should be there.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I got it.
Hai. So you do not say that I will now research on the body. You will say, oh, the key thing is, the most important thing is what is the span? What do you call that? For how long will the car run without recharge? I need to enhance that. That is the most important MPV for the car. There are multiple ways to do it. Increase the battery, increase the density of the charge there stored in the battery, reduce the weight of the car, do whatever. So there are so many things, so many ideas through which you can make the span of an electric car much more. I will do more regenerative braking. I can have a better, more efficient energy scavenging mechanism. I would put a solar panel on the top, which would continue to charge the car while it is running. So you could do so many things. So this is just a starting point. You're not redesigning the solar panel. We're just mixing things so that it becomes better. But we want to start with the best and proven technologies. This is called feature transfer. When we transfer something which is already working and proven, we call it feature transfer to reduce the risks, because the customer already accepts this. The learning time for the customer is also less. They will immediately move to our product. These are the benefits of going for feature transfer through HIT or any other method. Okay. Any more questions?
Sir, also one thing, after obtaining the feature, I mean the best of all the features. So in MFC, what we are doing, that we are listing down all these features and we are finding ways to implement them, right?
There could be other ways to implement them. Yes, that is what we did in MFC.
Okay.
Hmm? So if this is clear, should we start with today's session, the next method then? Soumyadeep, you have a question?
Yes, sir. So in the MFC method, once we have listed down the attributes of our product, and another box, there is the ideas one. So on what basis are we supposed to think ideas? Like, what does that box mean?
So some ideas could be the ones that our competing systems are doing.
Okay.
Okay. So you may not use MFC if you are convinced with HIT. If you are not getting a clear answer from HIT, then that is when you go to MFC.
MFC is when we have zeroed in on our problem statement, right?
Yeah. Over here also you have zeroed in on a problem statement.
Okay. Okay.
HIT and MFC are, you may say, parallel techniques.
Okay.
Okay. So in MFC, you would talk about the different ways of implementing as if, so in fact, if you look at it, then MFC and HIT kind of merge when we talk of it as in the way we just now talked. These are different ways of implementing that feature, is it not? Zomato did it in a particular way, Swiggy did it another way, some other person would do it in a different way.
Yes.
This is another way of, we are kind of merging both of them, but they start from a different point. Some people are comfortable in one way, some people are comfortable in another way. Okay. So it may happen that through this discussion, you identify, oh, we could go the Swiggy way, we could go the Zomato way also. Or we could do this, we could do that, but you really want some more confidence that this is how we have to select the idea. This is how we have to select the starting point. So for that, what we do then is we start to look at another method of problem solving. And that method is, I would simply call it the criteria method. What this means is that we define two sets of criteria. One set of criteria are absolutes. These are the criteria that must be met always. They are non-negotiable, and you're not really looking at prioritizing amongst them. They simply have to be there. For example, a smartphone, so you are targeting the premium market. Oh, the premium market, 5G has to be there. That's an absolute criteria. And then desirables, criteria that are nice to have, non-critical criteria. One can prioritize amongst them. So what we do then is, for the absolute criteria, we list down those MPVs. And we list down the ideas, various ideas through which we could implement it. These could be directly competing solutions, or these could be other, you could have read a patent, or you could have just thought of as a group brainstormed at an idea. You list the ideas over there. Very simply, you put tick marks to ideas which meet all the requirements. Through this, you would know that some ideas do not really meet all the absolute requirements. They are thrown out. Only that. So it may happen that because of all the other pre-processing that we have done till now, you continue to carry A, C, and F. You only have A, C, and left already with you. But this is just a sanity check. Are A, C, and F finally meeting all the absolute criteria or not? Then you go to the next slide and you say, okay, now let me compare A, C, and F on the parameters of value, the desirable criteria, which are nice to have. And what I can do is, over here, I can give a weight. That PV3 is really, really nice to have. I would want to give it a weight of 10. PV2 is, okay, good to have 8. PV1, okay, good to have 7. PV6, nice to have 5. 3 and PV4 and 5, if I have them, it's fine. If I don't have them, it's okay. So 3 and 2. So you just give them some weight. And then for the different criteria, you simply how different ideas are meeting these. For example, idea 8 has met PV2, PV3, PV4, PV5. Idea C has met PV1, PV2, and PV3. And you just put the weights into these rows. Then you simply add. And you may say that, okay, now I know that idea C brings in the most value. So you're ranking amongst them and you say idea C brings in the most value. So let's go and implement idea C. Are you able to see this? Any questions?
Sir, just to like clarify this again, our criteria are basically our MPVs, right?
MPVs and PVs, parameters of value and MPVs. So absolute criteria are MPVs.
Right.
And desirable criteria are other things that are good to have.
And the MPVs are the one we, I mean, research on in methods like HIT and all, I mean, for feature transfer.
Yes, yes.
So first we are comparing the technologies already available. And once we have listed down the best which are already available, then we compare them to our solution,
Our proposal.
our proposal.
Yeah. See, solution though, our proposal may be directly implementable, or you may have to solve some additional problems to make your solution ready on the market, ready to go. Abhi to idea stage mein hai na, we have not implemented anything. When you will start to implement, you will face other problems.
Okay, yeah.
है ना? तो अभी इनको हम ideas ही करेंगे या proposals ही कहेंगे.
All right.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, Amit.
Yeah. So I mean, I see that things are not so black and white, like, does it meet or does not meet, right? It's mostly how effectively or how efficiently this can meet. So how do we tackle that scenario?
So as of now, you would go by your feeling, Amit, that, okay, I think as a group, we think that this should fairly meet, because you don't have a solution yet. This is just an idea. Do you think it will work?
Mhm.
So we will start with that. Then what happens is we will arrive at problems, and then we will start to solve those problems by using those tools of TRIS, for example, the solution finding tools of TRIS, which we will start in the next week. So today we are still at the stage of problem identification and problem refinement, but next week you will see we are starting with the tools of how to solve the problem. We will start with function-oriented search. We will start with technical contradiction matrix, the matrix that we looked at, where we say, okay, I wanted to improve area, but the stability degrades. So which are the inventive principles which I could use there? So then we will start to apply those inventive principles and see what product ideas or what solutions come to our mind.
But then I'm a bit confused here. So I thought, when you talk about ideas A, B, C, those are solutions and not. So
They are okay. They are ideas in terms of problem statement ideas.
Oh.
Okay. So the same method can also be applied on when you are arriving at the solution, Amit.
Okay.
Abhi we are saying that, okay, there is as a startup we want to, so okay, we are a mixed group. Some of us are working on startup ideas, some of us could be working on product ideas, where you're just looking at how to solve a problem in a particular product. For example, how to make the harvester combine blade in such a way that it cuts the stubble also so low so that you don't need to burn it now. You can simply plow it. So in this second category one, you may not need to go this elaborate, because aapko problem clearly pata hai. There is a very clear problem statement. We will directly jump to solution finding phase. But many of the people in this group that we are sitting here are still struggling with, okay, we want to look for a startup. We want to come up with a startup idea. And that is where the criteria method that we are discussing just now could help them zero in on the problem statement better.
Okay.
Now,
effectively what you're saying is that, well, if I have an idea A, which meets all these MPVs, or let's just say in this case C, which meets all the MPVs and have a very good score on the PVs, so that could be a good problem to solve.
yes.
Okay.
Now, when exactly the same method we will use that when we'll start to arrive at solutions.
Solutions, yeah.
That
comes more naturally to the mind. So yeah, that's where the confusion was.
I know. So I will not repeat this again then. I will simply say, go to the criteria method, see whether it is meeting all your absolutes and desirable criteria, and then the solution is there. Because when it comes to solutions, there will be other things like cost and other things that we will want to talk about, not just broad things. You will have real numbers there then. Hai na?
So could you go to the last previous slide?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Once more. So this absolutes and desirables, it's the same thing as we talked about tacit PV, MPV, PV, those things, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That is where we write only MC. That is where I've written MPVs here already.
Okay.
Because absolutes are MPVs.
Okay.
Hai na? And desirables are PVs. So in the next slide, we talked about PVs only. Is it fine?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Okay. So let me just give you another additional input. And then what we can do is we can probably go to breakout rooms and apply these techniques. You may want to complete the benchmarking of yesterday, applying HIT again. So let me just take you to the next slide where we're talking about what are other things which you may want to look at when you talk of customer motivation. So again, over here, customer motivation could be in terms of your startup, but it also could be in terms of, okay, you have a problem that you're facing at work, and what could be the motivation that my manager would choose one particular idea over another. So why would my manager sponsor one idea over the other? So some very common motivations that you should be aware of is security. You already are aware of it. I'm just verbalizing it for you so that when you identify a problem that you want to work on, just see, ऐसा तो नहीं है कि वो इनमें से किसी motivation के against जा रहा है. People will not go into unsecure modes. People will not go into places that their image takes a dent. Many people would want to say that, okay, I am in line with fashion. Companies would want to say that, okay, we want to have better time to market, and therefore we would choose this solution. Cost in terms of, okay, we already have this technology, adapting it to, we already are aligned to this way of working. So adapting it to our methods will give us a good solution. So cost is an important factor. And sympathy. What kind of human interaction are you leading to? Are you working with? Does your app, is your app very mechanical, or is your present flow very mechanical where a user does not have to do anything? So I will relate a very interesting example to you. So how many of you have, I think most of you would have, but how many of you have actually used these ready to cook meals and stuff like that? Ready to cook, ready to bake stuff. Just raise your hand, those of you who have done it. I'm hoping most of you would have done something ready to cook. Maggie banai hogi, if nothing else. Huh? So yeah, so most of you have done something. You can lower your hands. So there was this company in the US who came up with a ready to bake product. Okay, so what it did was it actually gave you a very good mix of your cake. All that you needed to do was add half a cup of water and put it in the microwave, and half an hour later your cake would be ready. So till the time they had arrived at this innovation, they had other ready to use products, and they were working very great in the market. And they were really doing very well in the market. They were products like जैसे हमारा ready to cook दाल मखनी आता है या ready to cook something आता है. So ready to cook cake was something that they came up with. The taste was wonderful, really. मतलब customer feedback in terms of quality, taste, everything was very positive, but the market was not picking up. So समझ में नहीं आ रहा था ये क्या हो रहा है, what is happening. So they talked to their customers who had tried their product but had not purchased it again, or were not willing to, or like they were positive about it, but when Would you want to take it, purchase it again? What other flavors would you want? Would you want to use it on your Valentine's Day or on your husband's birthday? Would you want to use this cake and everything? To which their answers were no. So they reached out to such customers and they said, why is it so? Why do you not want? No, when I want to, when it's my child's birthday and I want to bake a cake, I would want to do it with my own hands. So आप वाला cake बाकी occasions के लिए ठीक है, but when it is some special occasion, then I would want to bake the cake myself. Now, when else do you want to bake a cake? You would want to bake a cake at your home on special occasions only, so to say. That was why their market was not picking up. So they did one thing. Now, instead of a ready mix, they changed their product, and in their new product now, the person had to mix 2 or 3 ingredients from 2 or 3 packets. Pura ka pura mix hi karna tha. Nothing else was to be done. They had to just mix it and then add that 1 cup of water and then stir it. Because they asked them to mix, they said, okay, stir it for 5 minutes and then put it in the microwave. They said mix it in this particular order. So they gave all those instructions which were actually meaningless. They had already given a ready mix product earlier. Now, but they gave these instructions and now this product picked up. Same product, nothing was changed. Just the instructions of how to use the product was changed. And this product picked up. Why? Because now that lady felt that, okay, I'm doing something. I'm doing something to bake this cake for my child. And that sense ki nahi, maine to ready to 2-minute noodles bana diya, wo nahi aaya feeling. I did something. And I spent 15 minutes to do this work and now my cake is ready. So the key MPV then did not become time to bake the cake or the effort involved of the user. See, initially when the company thought of it, they wanted to minimize. Ready to cook means minimal effort from the user end. Is it not? That is what you would naturally think. Ready to cook means minimum effort from the user end. That is what they designed it for. But over here, this last factor, how is the human interaction? What is the feeling that a person has? What emotion is the person going through? They had ignored this. They had simply automated everything. Now, when they looked at this, they said, oh, they made the person do something. Now the main MPV was taste. The main MPV was consistently getting the right taste. See, if you would bake a cake otherwise at your home, you will realize that someday चीनी थोड़ी सी एक्स्ट्रा हो गई, another day oil थोड़ा सा कम हो गया, third day थोड़ा सा केक जल गया, कुछ हो गया. So it is not consistent. Now it's your son's birthday and you want to bake the best cake. You want consistency, but you also want to do something. That was where this product fit very, very well. Are you able to see this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So how does this impact your apps or your your solutions that you may provide? For example, you're providing a solution in your organization to automate something. Now you will realize that if you automate everything, the person or the designer may get a feeling that, I'm just doing a push button job. This anyone could do. This is a robotic job. I don't want to do this. Whereas if you automate only in parts and ask for user inputs every now and then, the person sitting on the table feels valued. Now, for those who did not want to do anything, you can have a default mode or a configurable mode, but someone who wants to do it, there is something that click button or some addition, something that he has to do. Are you able to see this? So be aware of what the user is, who the user is, what is the motivation of the user. Where does the user get that sense of pride? Where does the user get that sense of pride that, okay, I made something for my child. Okay, I passed 5 steps today. Now, actually, you did not do anything. The machine was doing everything. But okay, I passed 5 steps because I put a tick mark. I gave a green. I approved 5 places where the system could go ahead and everything, whatever. So that was a sense of accomplishment that the person got. And that is, what did he or she feel? What did they feel? That is also what is important. So do not look at only these cost kind of components or something which is very easily measurable. These human emotions are also important. Pride, sense of pride, comfort, all those things. They also play a big role when people decide on a solution. So keep those things in mind also when you start to zero in on your problem statements or your product ideas and solutions there. Is that okay? Anything that you would want to further clarify from here or anything else? Okay.
So one
Yes.
more thing.
Mhm.
When we do a benchmarking, it's also like a bit like MPV identification, right? Because we have identified the most the best competitor we have in terms of our MPVs, which are already being met. But now, but then, as you said, that there needs to be one more MPV which performs way better than the. That's something that our main competitor lacks.
Where everyone else is failing, yes. Especially the main competitor lacks, yes. Main competing system does not have that.
Yeah, just want to clarify.
Yeah. Okay. Let me also give you another perspective now. Okay. At times, you may stop short of really reaching for the stars when you go look for a solution. So you are only looking at an incremental solution today. However, in your system, there could be a possibility to arrive at a much better solution. So what is also important is to look at your problem statement also. So solutions could be, you should look at it like this, but even your problem statement, you should look at it in this context. So this method is called 9 screens. You create 9 boxes. So what is your current proposal? Once your proposal is almost there, what is your current proposal? What was the previous proposal? Previous proposal means what is the best competing system that you have in picture? Now also start to think of, if your product was to be displaced, what would someone else have to do? What could be the reason because of which your product would be displaced from the market? That will be the future system. Suppose you think of a circuit idea or algorithmic idea. So you say, okay, this my algorithm gives 10x improvement over the previous system. However, you also need to look at where is the weakness of your present idea and what could be the future of your ideas. You see there is a trend here, previous system to current system. There could be a trend that you could extrapolate to the future. Do extrapolate that and see if you have the wherewithal, if you have the resources to implement that system right here, right now. Like instead of coming to this particular solution, can you directly leapfrog to that solution? Okay. Please keep that thing in your view. Then while you do this, what you can also do is, and what you should also do is, just go to the super system. So just go to the super system. So for example, in one of the office hours last week, we were discussing about an idea where we were talking about garage sales from students to other students and stuff like that. And we were struggling with where to keep, the resources, where to keep the material, how do we get the space, where to keep the material, and so on. So we thought, if instead of targeting exactly just the students, because if you want to target a student from MIT and say that, okay, MIT wale bacche tere ko apna saman, you have an extra mattress, you want to sell it, you want to make it reusable and available for someone else to purchase it second hand, something like that, then you have a doubt as to where will you store that mattress in MIT or wherever for 3 months when the college is closed. See, the graduating student will graduate sometime in May, June, and the new students would come sometime in August, September. So there's a span of 3 months where to store this material till then. We said, okay, can we go to the super system level? As soon as we went to the super system level, we had an office of student affairs. we said that, okay, the student affairs we can approach to, this is a formal office, and we can tell them that, okay, why don't you give us a go down space? Some classroom, because there are no classes happening, you just give us some classroom where we could store the material for the period when the classes are not happening, when there are no students on campus, but this material will be taken up by the incoming students next semester. So this is kind of a, so as soon as we went to that level, all of a sudden, a lot of problems got solved. In the sense that now we did not need to search for go down space. Now we did not need to acquire students one by one from MIT. We said, okay, we will collaborate with the student affairs office of MIT or the hostel warden of MIT, whatever. You could go to a hostel level, you could go to a college level, wherever. But those are the things at the super system. And all those problems are at once solved. So when you are evaluating this problem statement, or when you are saying that, okay, we would want to implement this idea in detail and everything, you may want to go to the super system level also. And at the super system level also, you could say, how was this super system handling the problem earlier? And how would it want, what other product could come which could displace my system, my solution at the super system level also. For example, your current super system is the hostel, and you say, okay, I want to talk to the Office of Student Affairs instead of just the hostel. So you go to the super system level and do it. What you could also do is you could go to the subsystem level. You could go to the subsystem level and look at, this is my proposal. For example, you could talk of this in terms of that plow, the blade of the harvester that we were talking about. Okay, we say this is the proposal that we have. The previous proposal only had, let us say, that 3 feet height ka cutter. Now we are saying we would want to add another blade, which would cut the stubble at a height of just 4 inches. So I actually have all this stuff ready there. So this is just a blade that you're talking about. So you saw improvement from previous subsystem to current subsystem. Now you could think that, okay, what would the future subsystem be? What could the future subsystem be? It could be something which could, where these 2 blades could auto clean themselves. You remember Gillette blades? Gillette used to have that single blade earlier. Then they came with second. Then they came with third blade. Then they said Mac 3, it's high quality blade. But then for the Indian market, they also came with a blade which is called Gillette Vector. It's a disposable blade, but it has much longer life than Gillette Presto that they had in the market. Why? Because there was a switch. You would press that switch and you would put the blade in the water and it would clean the hair that would be stuck in the blade. So this blade would remain sharp for a longer period of time, and it does capture a good market today. So what could be the future subsystem? So can you again leapfrog at the future subsystem directly instead of coming to the proposal that you have? Once you've been through this 9 screens method, one could say that your problem statement is fairly good. You can now go ahead and start to find solutions around it. Any questions?
Sir, in this context, we can say that the super system is more like our stakeholders for our product.
Super system is always the context in which our product is being used. So it includes the target, it includes our customers. So could our customers be doing something?
Yeah.
For example, that baking example, they actually transferred some of the activity to the super system. They said, let the customer do it. Let the customer do this mixing.
Okay. Right.
So the customer itself could be the super system component, and you could assign something to them.
So also how the super system components are interacting with our system components, that changing that can actually.
Yes. So do not limit yourself to just the engineering system there. Look at the super system. If you're working on a memory circuit, for example, look at, okay, the memory also interacts with the processor. Can the processor do something for the memory? or the processor interacts with the memory, can the memory do something more for the processor? Okay.
Yeah. Got it. Yeah.
And you look at the subsystems also. Is there some particular part of the circuit which I could simply improvise, simply remove, simply enhance so significantly that my overall solution is much stronger? So it is important. So this is a formal way to, so देखो, कोई भी solution you will propose, ideally you should look at all these 9 screens, is it not? Ideally,
Yes.
you should do all this analysis, but you may miss out on something. So this is just a formal step that आप इसको कर लो, and it will automatically take care of many things. You will be in a very good shape in arriving at a solution then.
Okay, sir.
So now I think we are ready. We can, I have given you sufficient inputs for today also. We can go into our breakout rooms. We can continue to work on our projects. If you need help, I am around. I will anyway be hopping into your breakout rooms as usual. And if you need help, you just call for help, and I or the TAs will come over and we can discuss in your breakout rooms. Okay. Before breaking, if you have any questions, please ask. Otherwise, I will open the breakout rooms there.
Hello.
Yes, Brenda.
So I had a quick question. I'm finding it difficult to understand how would we do the criteria method with the problem statements. Until and unless we have recognized the solution, how do we know if the NPVs are getting satisfied or not? Can you talk through a quick example for this?
Okay, so let us say that food for hostelers wala, kitchen, home kitchens wala. So there is a problem statement where you say that, okay, in one kind of a problem statement, I am looking at how to make small groups of students so that their food can be delivered in one go. Another idea for the same solution could be, so these are, so one set of problems that you will solve is how to make those cohorts. Another implementation could be around that, okay, how I will not make cohorts. I will actually do person-to-person delivery, but I would still consolidate the ideas only for the kitchens. I will tell the kitchen, I will list down the kitchen menu at different places, and I will let students choose which kitchen to get their food from today. There is a limit, and any kitchen cannot possibly serve more than 5 students anyways, because they are home kitchens. Okay, there could be some kitchens which are also already offering or serving to other PGs. So there is another way to handle the problem. So these are different business models, you may say. And you want to now compare which business model is meeting all my MPVs. Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay. So we are going into breakout rooms now, and if there are questions, as I said, just raise your hand, and we'll be happy to be joining you. Yes, guys. So we just closed our breakout rooms because it's time up for the class. Any questions? Anything that you want to share about your experience in the breakout room just now?
So mostly we were identifying our competitors and how they are addressing, basically feature transfer analysis and benchmarking.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think in our case we were able to identify. For example, we are working on a homemade lunchbox delivery system, and we were coming across many challenges. For example, to organize a community of home bakers from the very start, because you see, healthy nutritious meals are provided by many restaurants through many delivery services, but ours have to be homemade, and at the same time, for bulk ordering and fast delivery, that will be a challenge. So yeah, it was basically these kind of problems people.
Okay, great. Any other challenge that you faced in using these tools or methods? Okay. So what we are doing is I'm now closing the class because it's time. But I would strongly recommend that you guys meet separately and continue your discussions so that you progress on the project. Okay. Next week onwards, we will start to work towards solutions. We may have some. So depending on how many of you work on process flows and service models, we may have a session on another way of modeling. So function modeling that we did till now is about products. There is another function modeling that we do for processes. So if there are many of you who are working on process related ideas, we could also have a session on process modeling. Okay. So thank you guys, all the best, and see you in the office hours. Somadeep, yes?
Yeah, I had a small query. It's an old doubt. As we discussed in the case of toothbrush, that the target is the plaque and not the teeth. So similarly, suppose I'm talking the system as sun and I'm drying my clothes. So the target will be the water on the clothes, right? Not the clothes.
Yeah.
Okay. And also my function would be to evaporate water.
Yeah, to evaporate water. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
To remove water.
Yeah, okay. So thank you.
Very good. All the best, guys. See you.